What's going on, people? Welcome to 12 Rounds with Premzy, a new show dropping on the channel. And we've got a very special guest in the building, former kickboxing world champion, boxer series lightweight champion, now fighting on the Sky Sports platform and repping it for all the things across the world. Dylan Cheema, what you telling me, bro? You good?
Respect, man. Respect, man. Yeah, cheers to that big up, man. It's been how long did it take you to practice that? Sounding natural. Sounds
Nah, you know
natural.
what, bro? It's become second nature now. You get me? Obviously, man's been doing streams left, right, and center. It's been about a
That's it.
year
That's
now,
it.
so it's only
Nah,
deserved, bro.
man.
You get me? You're repping it hard for the things, bro. So
Respect.
big up to yourself, man.
No, thank you.
But how's
Thank you, man. Yeah,
training gone
thanks for having me
today?
on, man. Do you know what? I've had some time off, so I only boxed last week. So I've had a week off of training, so I'm getting back in. I'll be in the gym tonight, tonight this afternoon, and have a cheeky little workout. Just break things back into training again, and let my body recover. Now my body recovered, I can start picking
Yeah.
back up where I left off and get the fitness back, and we start doing some technical work the next few weeks, and then we'll back in camp ready for a next fight date soon.
Yeah, brilliant. First of all, thank you very much for coming on. Honestly, it means a lot. But the first thing I want to get into is, as I mentioned, you were a kickboxing world champion. How have you found the
Yeah.
transition from kickboxing into boxing?
Do you know what? It's not been too bad. Luckily for me, I've had lockdown. So 2019, I think I had my last kickboxing fight, and that was a
Mhm.
12-round war. And then I decided I wanted to move over to boxing. And then obviously that was in 2020. So that was when like we had all the lockdowns and all the country went into a mess. So um,
Yeah,
in that time, I was able to stay in the gym and start working. So I had a year of learning to transition over into boxing from the kickboxing world. So and that did me wonders. That just set me up perfectly for when I was ready to make the debut and have that first fight. Then I was ready. Then I wasn't jumping in straight from having kickboxing, only a few months training boxing, and then go straight into professional. I had a
yeah,
whole year, well, it was probably about 18 months to really
yeah.
train and work hard at what we needed to rectify. And the few changes that we can make, we made them over that time, which was good.
Brilliant. So with the training side of things as well, obviously myself, I did Thai boxing for 4 years and I boxed
Yeah,
for a very long time in the amateur game. I had 18 bouts. And when I was doing the Thai boxing side of things, and then I jumped into training for my bouts for boxing, I
yeah.
found the training a lot more intenser in the boxing side of things. How have you found the training compared to training for a Thai boxing fight? Do you ever feel like when you're in the ring to throw a kick at someone, or how is it? Because it is a little bit mad. Because being a world champion lightweight as well,
Yeah.
you get me, bro. It's big moves, you get me, and it sometimes it
Mm.
can be a hard transition because in certain moments in the ring you end up wanting to kick someone, but you look like you're just a natural in the game at the moment.
I mean, that's why the coaches give me that name, didn't they? They give me the
Yeah,
natural as my ring name, so that's why they give me that. But no, do you know what? It was comfortable. It wasn't like it. I don't ever feel the urge to kick someone. I don't ever feel the urge to take their legs out underneath them or anything daft like that.
yeah,
It. I've just enjoyed it. Do you know what I've enjoyed? I've enjoyed going back to basics. I'm going back to learning. I haven't learned something new. I've just adapted and changed the style of kickboxing I had. I've just adapted that to boxing, um, and I really have enjoyed that because it's like learning a new trick. It's like learning a new skill. It's like learning a new sport. It was something that I really enjoyed, and I found the love for fighting again.
yeah.
I hadn't lost it in kickboxing, but I found a new love for it. So it was always a dream to go over to boxing and try professional boxing. Always used to watch it on TV, like all the big fights that used to come on. So it was just like as soon as we could do it and we could really try it, we worked hard at it, and I've loved every single minute of it.
Yeah, brilliant. So first of all, yeah, so the boxer series, you were an underdog in
Yeah,
that competition.
yeah,
You won it with flying colours, beating a top
yeah.
competitor in Ryan Charlton as well in the final. What was it like having three fights in one night and winning all three of them, bro? Because that's life changing, man.
Yeah, yeah, definitely was life changing. It was a new experience as well. Like our bodies aren't used to warming up,
Mm.
having a fight, and then cooling down, and then having to warm up and do it all over again, and do that
Yeah.
again for a third time. So our bodies aren't set up for that. Like as soon as you cool down, you can start feeling those little like injuries where you've taken punches on your arms and your elbows and your body. You can feel them come through, but I don't know, man. You just something just comes over you on the night that you just push through. You just get through it.
Mm.
I'll be honest. Like the whole night was like it is pretty much a blur. Not that I was concussed or anything. It just felt like a blur. It
One
just
too
like
many
it just went
pops
to.
in the head.
You are well. I think I did wear a few that night, to be fair. But you know, it's like we trained specifically for that tournament. So we trained like every pad session, every sparring session, even circuits was all geared towards having 3 round fights, 3 fights in one session, essentially in one night. So we put everything into it, and I can honestly say we was honestly so confident we was going to win it. I said it all the way through. My coach, as soon as we found out who the other competitors were. One of my coaches, Waller, he looked up, did his research, did his studying, picked out the guys that could have been difficult, picked out the guys that could have been a little bit easier, and just said, and he was confident. And he said it won't be easy, but he said we've got this in the bag. As long as
Yeah.
I do what I'm told and I train hard, then he said we've got this in the bag. So we were just confident from pretty much from taking the fight when we did about 6 weeks out from the night.
I'm sure the support that you had because the Sings came out in force, you get me,
Yeah, they did.
supporting you. That must mean a lot to you as well, bro, because at the end of the day, you're probably one of the main Sikh fighters that are out here at the moment. You get me? You know, in history, we haven't had many opportunities for South Asian people to hit the
No,
mainstream. And right now, bro, you're doing everybody proud. Do you know what I mean? And like
thank
having
you.
all that support right about now, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it's massive, you know, like it means so much. Like, to be fair, even when I turned over into boxing, um, I had a massive fan base, you know, from the early days as well. My first couple of fights, which weren't on TV, they were only on local shows, and we call it small hall boxing shows hit
Yeah.
in professional. So there's no TV, there's no big money. I only get paid for whatever tickets I sell. Luckily, I had a really good fan base and really good support. And they backed me from then. So as soon as we got into the tournament, we sold. I was the biggest ticket seller in the tournament, and really and truly, like the community got backed me and got behind me massively. So, and ever since that night, obviously, it's only just grown, and the support's only been as great as ever. So it's always like it. Do you know what the nicest thing is? And I was saying this the other day. It was, do you know what? I was at the gondola the other day, and a couple of two young Sengs come up to me, and they were like, "Oh, are you the boxer?" Yeah, man. Like came up, give me a little fist bump, said well done, said congratulations, and obviously just went on the way. But to see that, like, I'm somewhat making a difference, somewhat making an impact on some young people's lives, and getting them into boxing, or just getting them into inspiring them into doing something that they love, then that's the best feeling in the world.
Brilliant. And you know what it is? It gives other kids out there, it gives other Asian fighters the belief to think, you know what? I can train hard. I can put all my eggs in one basket and it can pay off because
Yeah,
time and time again, I've seen growing up being in the amateurs myself, you know, I had to stop due to injury, but I've seen a lot of top talent knocking around and I don't feel
yeah,
like they get the credit they deserve or also get the opportunities. So by you doing this and taking the platform by storm, it is unbelievable. Now, a
mm,
month later from the Boxer series, you got signed to Boxer by Ben Shalom. Now,
yeah.
fighting on Sky Sports, bro. How big is that? What is the turnaround? Because I can clearly see that you're still working in the family shop. You get me? You're still humble. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, bro? It's a bit of a mad thing because as soon as boxers start making it, that's it. Then the head starts going a little bit, but you've
Look,
managed to stay
yeah,
very grounded.
yeah, that's it. Look, I haven't made it. The journey we've always said soon as on that bit of paper, that was a journey starting. You know, I'm still young in boxing, so that's the journey started. But obviously, the journey starts on a big platform now, isn't it? So that's the
Yeah.
biggest difference. I do help out in the family business here and there. I must admit though, I have taken a step back now. Training has picked up more. You know, even when I was working full time, I worked up in Manchester. That's been knocked on the head, and I've called it a day on actual full time work. Many people probably didn't know that I worked full time while training for the tournament. So I was doing 4.5, probably 5 hours driving a day, starting my day off at 5:30 and finishing it after my second training session at 9:30, 10 o'clock by the time I got home. So I was trained like that for the tournament. So since signing that lovely bit of paper, I have not work on the head. The family business, I do help out here and there, not as much as I used to, but obviously, look, you've got to realise that boxing now for me is everything. You know, I'm putting everything into this. I've worked hard, not me and my coaches, because they've been with me since day one. We've all worked really hard to get in the position that we're in today. So I can't just throw that away by doing a couple of hours in the shop here and there. And do you know what? My family are really supportive. They have got behind me and really backed me and really allowed me to do what I love, which is great. You know, it is difficult. You know, even at a young age when I was so into kickboxing and that was what I wanted to do. Mom and dad, even my family, they would say, look, you've got to have something else to fall back on, just in case this kickboxing thing doesn't go far, or you don't get anywhere, or you don't know if you can get injured and you can't do it anymore. You need to have something to fall back on, and that's probably why I went to do my GCSEs, do my A levels, and went to university, and that's probably why I had a job just in case. And it's the same now in boxing. You do need a backup plan. You do need something to fall back on, because if I get, God forbid, if I do get injured tomorrow, then what? You know.
Honestly, it's a
That's a career
madness,
gone.
bro,
So
because inside my last boxing fight, my 18th amateur boxing fight, I dislocated my shoulder and it required surgery where it needed 2 pins. But my brother, he had the surgery done and he said that it was worse than what it was before he got it done. So
really,
unfortunately, man had to stop fighting. Obviously, I've had generation of fighting through my family. I don't know if you
yeah,
know Sugar Ray Robinson at all.
yeah,
The only man to beat Sugar Ray Robinson was a guy called Randolph Turpin, which my granddad fought and beat. Also, my
okay,
mum was black belt kickboxer as well. So
no way, in
it's
your
been in
blood,
it's been in the family, man. I love fighting, and to be fair, this show has been overdue as well. As people know, I do Premzy TV and do a lot of Arsenal content as well. But I've always wanted to add the boxing side of things into it
yeah,
because I've got a real passion for boxing. But credit to you, bro, driving all them distances to come to Manchester and go back, because I know
yeah,
exactly how it is when I'm going to London. It's like 4 hours there, four
yeah,
hours
yeah,
back in
yeah,
one
yeah.
day. It's an absolute madness, bro. But look, let's have a look. You started off and you won a couple of fights versus Stu Greener and Anton Novick. How did you prepare for them fights, being your first fights into the boxing game?
Yeah, so the Stu Greener was the first one, my first time on Sky, and promoted by a boxer since the tournament. So that brought its own pressures. And do you know what? They came straight back to Coventry as well.
Yeah,
So not only did I sign, they signed and put me on a bill in my hometown. Off the back of that, like, and it was a massive card, and they put me on as a 4 round fighter. They put me on at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I was on primetime TV for a 4 round fight. That's
yeah,
unheard of. Like, no one really does that. So obviously that brought its own pressure. Not the best performance that I put out there, but got the win, got the job done.
mm,
And then I wanted to keep busy, so I ended up boxing again 4 weeks later against this Anto kid, I think from Croatia somewhere. So
yeah,
that wasn't on TV. That one, I wanted to box again. Sky couldn't get me on to. They had a show in Bournemouth on that day. They couldn't get me onto that show, so we just came to agreement that I could just box on a local small show. I think we packed it out and we sold the venue ourselves, so they didn't need any of the fighters on there other than me. But so that just shows how the support's just like, it just carries through. It's crazy, something I never really expected, but it happens. And we ended up boxing this kid and ended up stopping him in the second round, and that was it. And then I went off and had a bit of a break then, because you got to remember I turned professional and had my first fight in October last year, so 21. And in the space of like 9 months, I'd boxed 7 times. 3 of those I granted in the tournament. So I had like 5 fight nights in the
mm.
space of 9 months, which is
But it's
crazy.
good to
So
stay. It's good to stay active, though. You know what I mean? Because when you're
it
getting
is
into it,
it is good, but it's the wear and tear on my body. So I needed that bit of break. So I had about a month. I had August off, and then got back into camp in September, and then obviously then it just led up to boxing the other week as well. So it's been a busy year. It's been a busy year.
It has been. Well, let's touch on that. So, obviously, it's the first defeat that you've suffered as a professional boxer
Yeah,
against Jordan Ellis. Obviously, quite controversial. Um, some people would say it's gone your way. Some people would say it's gone his way or whatnot. How have you managed to lift yourself from that? Because as a boxer, having a first defeat, it can bring you down a little bit. But you seem
yeah.
like you're in good spirits.
I am now. I am now. I'll be honest. It's not been easy. Obviously, I don't like losing.
Mm,
Full stop. I'm a sore loser. That obviously, but that'll never show in that I'm spiteful or I'm rude that will never come out in a different way. It's just I hate losing, and that's just my winning mentality. So
yeah.
I've lost in kickboxing before and come back and won.
Mm,
So I have faced defeat before and I have come back. So I will come back from this, but it it is difficult. It was tough. I did shed a few tears that night because it's the first time I lost in the boxing ring and a fight that I probably was not expecting to lose. Many
mm,
people probably expect me to win and probably do well, but it happens, and
yeah.
as difficult it can be, it's life, man. Like
Well, if you look at it,
shit comes at you. You have to deal with, and you have to overcome it. And you know, it's only gonna benefit me. It's only gonna make me
yeah.
be better going forward.
Well, if you look at it, most of the greats of the past, they've all lost fights and come back from it. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, when you have a loss on your record, you can learn from that defeat. You get me? You can go
100%.
back, review the tapes. Obviously, I'm guessing you've gone back and definitely reviewed the tapes. What do you feel about the judges' decisions? Do you feel like it went against you, or
Yeah,
do
I,
you
I
reckon
I
they made the
mean, I
right decision
mean,
after
I
reviewing it?
mean, I'm not going to sit here and call it a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. The
Mm,
fight was close anyway.
yeah,
The rounds were close. It's difficult when you've got just the referee scoring the fight because he can only see it from one perspective and one angle, and that's his
mm,
angle. Um, but perhaps he couldn't see some of the little shots that I was landing on the inside, and those scoring shots probably couldn't see those. But it is what that comes with part of boxing. Does having referees score the fight. So I watched it back a few days later, and I would probably still say I nicked the fight. I probably still had it. Probably 39 or 38, 37 towards me. I could see it being a draw at worst case scenario,
mm,
being a draw, not scoring it towards him, but I take a lot away from that. That's why I've only had a week off from this now, and I've just let my body recover, let myself heal, and we'll start learning straight away. I'll start putting those things that I did wrong. I'll start working on that, and make sure I don't make them mistakes again, and make sure
nice.
that decision doesn't happen again.
It won't happen again. Trust me, we have faith in you. We know you're gonna do it. You get me, bro.
Thank
But
you,
let me
man.
ask you now: have you got anybody lined up to fight? Obviously, there's been loads of talks about Adam Azim and stuff like that because obviously he's another Asian lad that's doing very well in the game. Obviously, I want to big up Amir Khan as well because Amir Khan was a pioneer in boxing and set the way for Asian fighters as well to come through. There's been a lot of talk about this, but do you reckon it's a little bit early just yet for that kind of fight, or is that
You've
someone that
got
you'd
it.
be looking for?
You've got to understand that I don't duck and dive any fights. I never have done, and I never will. I wouldn't enter a tournament where I was a two-fight novice and fight people that are in there that have had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 fights and come over and win it. If I was
Mm,
scared, I wouldn't have entered that tournament. So I'm never scared to turn down a challenge. I'm confident I can beat anyone that's in front of me. Didn't happen last week, but I was
mm,
confident walking into that fight that I would beat him quite well. But yeah, Adam Azim, they're all talking about that fight, and they're going to continue to talk about that fight. You've got to understand that Adam's on 10 round fights and
yeah,
pushing on for intercontinental, them sort of titles. I'm still at the earlier stage of my career where I'm moving on to 6 rounds and building my way up that way. He's had loads of amateur, I've had no amateur. So
mm.
I'm learning my boxing in the ring,
Doing it the
on the
hard way.
nights. Yeah, yeah. And he's doing it. He's done it in the amateurs and is able to push on to where he's got to. Obviously, he's boxing Cholton on Sunday, so that'd be an interesting fight to watch. But I think that's a fight that could happen down the line, definitely.
That'll be selling out massively. I'm telling you now for a fact. That'd be a
But I
big,
think
big
I think
sellout.
what
That.
people it will do massive. But I think what people need to understand is you're not you. I've heard a lot of people say it's about India versus Pakistan.
No, not at all. Not
They
for me.
can't they can't be talking about it like that. So that you've got to be celebrating that it's two good boxers putting it on the line.
Yeah.
That's what they've got to
Do
be
you know?
talking about.
Do you know what it is though, bro? Keeping it 110% real, because I'm a real guy, you get me, bro. And this is
Yeah.
how I managed to start my platform, is because we haven't seen anything like it just yet. Boxing's been going for so many years, and when can you name me seeing two Asian fighters from the UK, from different heritage, sharing the ring? You never really see it. You get me, bro. So I
No.
100%
You won't. You
understand.
can't.
100% understand what you're saying. It should never be about that, because at the end of the day, we don't want to create divisions or anything like that, because
Mm,
them times have gone. You get me? It's about the two fighters in the ring, what they can possess, and who's the better man on the night. 100%
that's
agree.
it. That's
But
it.
people can't stop talking about it, because it seems like it'll be a tasty one. I'm not going to lie. Seems like it'll
Yeah.
be a tasty one. But look, when we look at it right now, yeah, is there anyone that, say, for example, within the next, say, few months, that's already been lined up by Ben Shalom on the team that you will actually be fighting?
First
Can
off,
you give us any saucy information, Dylan?
first off, it's chasing that. Get the rematch in with Jordan, Ellison. Get that rematch in and get that over. Hopefully over a longer distance, and get that loss avenged and get a good win, and then we'll push on from there. You know, um, the big fights will come. I'll be challenging for title fights soon. Hopefully by the end of next year or early the year after. I need to, and I think Saturday proves I need the right experience still, and I need
Yeah.
to get the round under my belt, and I need to, and the level of opposition will get better as I'm moving on now. But I need to be getting those right level of opposition to bring the right skills that I need ready for those big fights.
No, 110%, bro. But before we wrap it up, I will ask you a few questions, and then obviously we'll wrap
Okay,
it up. First of all, what do you enjoy the most in training camps? And don't tell me it's diet, bro, because I'm telling you now, I know
that's the
that's not the
worst
truth.
thing, bro. That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. You can't have some roti on a Saturday evening.
It's a mad
Um,
thing. How are you going? Good Dwara, yeah, every day and not eating longer. That's a
Oh,
mad thing.
you're telling me it's hard, you know, it is hard. Especially when we had the Gurupop as well. So
Yeah.
like the big celebrations for our community, man, and I couldn't enjoy it to fullest, but part of the game, innit? Part of the game. Sparring, man. Sparring's the biggest thing I enjoy. Yeah. You know what it is? It's getting to sometimes you have bad spars, sometimes you have good
Yeah.
spars. You know, it's all about learning. It's all about practicing what we've been learning in the pads and all the technical work. And if it comes off in sparring, then you know you've got it in the bag and you've got it ready to use on the night of the fight.
100. So when it comes with the sparring situation, obviously it's going to be totally different to what I used to do compared to you. Obviously, you're a pro in the game, but we used to rotate when I used to train for a fight and about. We used to rotate sparring partners. So one round, one man would jump in. The next round, another
Mm.
man would jump in, and we'll do that for about 6 rounds. In the pro game with yourself, is that something that you're doing, or you're just sticking with the one guy? And
So yeah, so it varies. So sometimes we'll go to a sparring and we'll have there might be two or three lads and we all rotate with each other. So we all make sure we get like a good number of rounds in. So it won't just be one round. It might be a 3 or 4 round spar. You might do 4 rounds, but there might be a couple of lads. Or you do 6 rounds, it might be 2 or 3 lads. So that does vary. But sometimes we'll just do a continuous spar with just one person. So it does vary. It just depends on what stage we are in camp. To be fair.
brilliant. And finally, who is your biggest inspiration in the boxing game? Who is it that you look up to and think, you know what? I don't just want to be like him, I want to be better than him.
It's my three coaches. Not the one, it's three. It's my three coaches. You've got to understand these guys, them three. So Uncle, I can call him Uncle. Uncle Baggy's been there since day one. Used to take all of us kids to and from kickboxing and back. He's been there and he's coached me from day one. He's coached so many others. He's coached the other two coaches there, Richard Wall and Simon Akufo. He coached them as well, and they were multi-world champion kickboxers. They didn't move over into boxing. That wasn't really put to them back then, but they
Hmm.
would have done really well in boxing. Them three, man, them three, the biggest inspiration that I've got.
Well, you know what? That just shows how humble you are, and that just shows how real you are. At the end of the day, giving people their due, deserved credit. You know what I mean, bro? I watch all your stuff. Like, you know, obviously we've been in contact for a little while now.
Yeah,
I feel like your coaches do an absolute brilliant work with all the other kids as well that are there. So first of all, big up to yourself, my bro. Thank you very
thank you,
much for
man.
coming on. People, make sure you're smashing a like on this video. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure you go check out Dylan Cheema on Instagram as well. He's smashing it at the moment. You know what I mean? He's killing it. But make sure you go and follow him and show him that support, people. But we'll see you on the next one. Peace and love.
Thank you.